Okay, so the book I'm reviewing is Why I Trust the Bible, and it's subtitled Answers to Real Questions and Doubts People Have About the Bible. It's a very useful book, and it's a recent release. It was written in 2021. It's what we call an apologetic book, in that it gives us some reasons to trust the Bible, and the writer, William Mounce, is very aware of recent research. So it's very much, some of you may have read Josh McDowell's books and books written in the 70s or 80s, which are excellent. This book is right up to date with all the latest research, so this is definitely worth adding to your library. Okay, we'll just go to the next slide there. William Mounce is well positioned to write this book. I think the previous one, sorry, with the photo. Yep. William Mounce is well positioned to write this book. It's recommended by Wayne Grudem and Craig Keener, two really well-known Bible scholars. And as the title suggests, he's giving solid reasons for trusting the Bible. And the reason this is important is, a typical grade 11 student is going to be coming up against doubts and questions and even attacks on the Bible. If you move up to university, there is that atheistic sort of thread in our secular institutions. So it is important to be reading books like this to give a good, firm foundation for what we believe. Okay, now William Mounce is a Greek scholar. He was actually on the NIV translation team, so he's had to study Greek in order to do that. Before that, he was on the ESV translation team. He's also written a commentary on Timothy and Titus, which is very highly regarded. The next one, just the contents of the book. There are 13 chapters divided into 6 sections. 13 chapters in 6 sections. So the 6 sections are the historical Jesus. Number 2 is contradictions. He's dealing with, are there actually contradictions in the Bible? No, they're not. And he deals with that. Thirdly, the canon. That is, why do we have 27 books in the New Testament, not 25 or 35? Then he moves on to a more technical section, textual criticism, very important. And then I really like section 5, where he looks at different Bible translations and the philosophy. What's the philosophy behind the NIV or the King James Version or the ESV and so on. And then he looks at the Old Testament in section 6. I'll just put up a couple of quotes for you quickly from the book. He says here that 4 Roman and, more importantly, non-Christian writers mention Jesus and some of the events of his life. These references are from the 1st and 2nd century. So he's just pointing out there that over and above the Bible, some people might say, well, I don't believe the Bible, so I don't believe Jesus existed. But no, there are secular writers outside the Bible who verify that Jesus was a real person. The next one, he talks about supposed contradictions in the Bible, and he says that sometimes apparent contradictions among the Gospels can be solved by applying a little common sense. And you can do that. There's sometimes you think, well, this writer says 2 angels at the tomb, and this one says 1 angel, so there you go, it's a contradiction. It's not. It's just people looking from different angles. He deals with that kind of thing. Next one, he says, if someone tells you they don't trust the Bible because it has so many errors and contradictions, there's one and only one question you should ask: can you show me one? If they can't identify a potential error, you'll know that this isn't the real problem for them. It's probably a smokescreen. Yeah, so lots of people say the Bible's full of contradictions. If you come back at them and say, well, you must have done hundreds of hours of research, so share with me some of your research. A lot of people have done none. All they're doing, they're just reparroting William Dawkins or Sam Harris or someone, but haven't actually studied it for themselves. Next one, Don may mention this in his talk today, that we have more than 5,600 manuscripts of the Greek New Testament. So it's not like we've got a Bible that they just was dug up somewhere, but there's multiple Greek manuscripts of the New Testament that are all put together using textual criticism to get what we have today in our trustworthy Bible. And then he goes on to say about Bible translation, because some people are very strong on this but don't understand necessarily what their position is. Because he says here that you can't just transpose words from Greek to English and have the English mean the same thing as does the Greek. All translations involve interpretation. He says it's impossible to go from one language to another without some interpretation. Yeah, so some people say, I want a literal Bible where they've just got the literal Greek move straight into English, but languages don't work that way. Sentence structures are reversed sometimes. So he makes some very good points here as to how we've gone from Greek into English and why you can't just go word for word straight from Greek. So those of you interested in Bible translations, as I am, you might find that really interesting reading. At the end there, just the last slide, is this book is available. Recheck this morning. It's still available. You can get it at Koorong, or if you want to get it on Kindle, it's much cheaper. Get it from amazon.com.au. You can get it straight away from Kindle. And I would recommend, it'd be great if 10, 15, 20 people in our church could get hold of a copy of this book and read it. Those of you at university, those of you getting into witnessing, challenging conversations, it's got the latest research. I would highly recommend Why I Trust the Bible.